Well, first thing they did was give me a bunch more files to go through, different flying saucer landings and stuff like this. And I said, why am I getting all these things? Because, you know, I was curious. I'm here at the Pentagon against my will.
Well, you signed up.
Well, I signed up, but I signed up to go to Hawaii, you know. And basically, the government sends you wherever they want you, or the Air Force does, whatever. But, so, anyway, I'm sitting there and going through these different files. And I didn't see any sense in it myself, but that was the way they wanted me to do, so I did. And they said, I said, well, where am I going to be? You know, am I going to be here the rest of my service? They said, no, you're going to Nevada. You're going to an underground facility.
Is this day one on the job?
This is like the first week that I'm at the Pentagon. And then the most unheard of thing that could be imaginable is that they walk up to me and they said, okay, come in to the room over, this other room over here. And I walk into this other room, and there's a officer standing there, a lot higher than me. And he says, and he looks at these plainclothes people that are in there, and he goes, "This is highly irregular. You know, this just isn't done. You know." And he says, "Well, you know that," and they start talking about rank and stuff like this. And it's just, how can we give this lieutenant full bird colonel? I mean, it's not done. Well, it's going to be done.
Were you present for this conversation?
Yeah, I'm present for this conversation. I'm standing there going, what are they talking about?
You're there for a week. They've given you some papers to read about. What you said was flying saucers.
Flying saucers, reports of flying saucers and things like this.
So are these
landings and stories and Benny Hill and all these others. And I'm going, okay, so why am I doing this, And they said, well, your next duty station requires you to be a certain rank. And that rank is full bird. And I'm going, wait a minute, I'm a lieutenant.
At 16 years old.
At 16 years old, I'm a lieutenant. I'm a second lieutenant. I haven't even made first lieutenant yet, and you want to give me bird? Full bird? I mean, what happened to lieutenant colonel or, captain? And they said, don't worry about that. It's all taken care of. So they pin on the full bird. And I'm going, oh my God.
It's the capacity of the job. It's not like they were giving you a command.
No, they weren't giving me a command or nothing like that. They just said, you're just required to be this rank and to be in this facility. And I said, all right. And then they said, okay, now what do I want? And then they started arguing about clearance. They started bickering back and forth about, what clearance am I going to have? And I'm going, what is all this? And they said, you're going to a top secret facility beneath the Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada. And I'm going, okay, that's all well and good, the top secret, I can understand that. But why are you guys bickering about what clearance I'm going to have? And they said, because that's another requirement. And I said, well, so that's what all that security background checking was for. They said, yes. I said, okay, whatever. So I just sort of sat there and let them do what they, did.
What were the ranks these guys having this conversation?
One of them was a general.
I would expect it, at least.
The general was the one kept saying, it's not done. It's just not done. He hasn't got the qualifications for being a colonel. He hasn't got the backing. He hasn't got the experience. He's a colonel. So, and of course, these guys in plain clothes are the ones, you know, saying this is what's going to happen. You know, this is what's going to happen. Regardless of what you say, General, this is what's going to happen.
Who do you suppose these people in plain clothes were?
I had no clue.
If you were to guess, your wildest guess.
My wildest guess, secret government. That's what I'm guessing. After it was all said and done, I had my full bird colonel. I had crypto top secret clearance, and some other clearance that they said something about, and I didn't even understand what that was. But they said it. They said, in other words, you're saying this person's got higher clearance than the damn president? And he goes, that's right. Oh.
You're in a week.
In a week. In a week, I'm in Pentagon, and I'm getting all this stuff bestowed upon me, and I'm going, why? You know.
So they were speaking in terms of your next duty station.
Yeah, my next duty station. They kept arguing back and forth.
You'd only been there a week.
I'd only been there a week. And I said, okay, well, how long am I going to be here before I go there? You'll be here for a month. Okay, what am I going to do in that month? You're going to be debriefed about your facility. You're going to. And you can't talk about it to nobody. And I'm going, what else is new? So then in walks my father, my adopted father. And he's going, I looked at him and I said, you're the reason I'm here, aren't you? He said, yeah. And I said, okay. So after that point, I just shut up and didn't say nothing. But then they put me on a plane, sent me to Las Vegas, Nevada, got off the plane, and they said, here is $5,000, go have yourself a blast downtown. I said, why? They said, because you're not going to see the light of day for 11.5 years. I go, what? I said, you're not going to see the light of day for 11.5 years. You're going to be in a facility that's approximately, the first level is like, what, 3-4 miles underground? I'm going, oh, now I see why you gave us the time off. But you can't talk about what you're doing. I said, I understand. Did
they tell you what you were going to be doing?
At the Pentagon, yes, somewhat.
So you had some idea.
They said, you're relieving a commander at the facility, Area 51 facility. And he's been there a long time. He's had a nervous breakdown, so you're taking his place.
Oh, so you were actually given the command then. You're relieving a commander.
I'm relieving a commander.
So you did have a command.
Yes, I did. But I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
And so they let us go have our little fling down in Las Vegas.
Was any explanation ever given to you why you were so rapidly promoted, if you will, and put into such a high position of responsibility?
Yeah. The explanation was a gentleman one of the plainclothesmen walked up to me and he says, I'm Mr. Stevens, and my rank is not important. You are going to be the liaison in Area 51. I said, the liaison? For what? He says, you'll find that out when you get there. And I said, well, why is that why I was advanced so quickly? And he says, yes, and your father had something to do with it as well. And I said, oh, okay. He says, well, you need to stop asking questions. I said, yeah, I kind of got that. So basically I shut up and obeyed orders. We got to the Area 51, well, we got to the aircraft. We boarded this aircraft. It was solid white. blacked out windows with a big red 51 on the tail, and we get in this aircraft, take off. 45 minutes later, we land. I step out from the aircraft, pitch black, nothing. No stars, nothing. You know, I said, wait a minute, where are the stars? You know, but better yet, where are we? You know, because we took off at 10 o'clock in the morning, 45 minutes we land, and yet it's pitch black. Where are we? You're inside a mountain. And I said, oh, that's why no stars. Very good. Go get in that staff car. Me along with several other people. And we go and get in the staff car, and the staff car starts going straight down this corridor, and all at once it drops down at a 45-degree angle. Down. And this car accelerates to a certain point, and then it levels off, and stops again. We walk out, and they said, okay, you see that building over there? And I said, yep. She said, go in there and strip. Everything comes off. Okay, so I go in this room, this building. I walk in the room, these people are all dressed in white. They tell me to go into this cylinder thing, and I step into it, and this blue mist comes down. Decontamination.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, decontamination.
Same stuff?
No, this stuff hurt. And and then they gave us this jumpsuit to put on. We put the jumpsuit on, back in the staff car, down another corridor, down another 45 degrees for a couple miles. Come to another building, they say go inside. A pink mist comes down. Went through 3 different segments of decontamination. After the 3rd trip down, we go into we step into an elevator.
You mean like a level? Is it so you say with 3 levels or 3, the pink mist comes down, you said there were 3.
There was 3 different levels. So you had the first level, blue mist, okay. Second level, pink mist, and the final level didn't seem like a mist at all, but yet it was coming down.
Are you naked this whole time?
Oh yeah. Well, every time we step into a building, okay. Not in the car, no.
Okay. You were allowed to get dressed and
jumpsuit.
Try to follow the story.
Yeah, put this jumpsuit on. By the time we get down to the 3rd level, and we step into this cylinder again, this clear mist, or clear, it was like we could feel it, but you couldn't see it. Mm-hmm. And they said, okay, you're totally decontaminated. I said, oh, nice. You know, they put on this other suit, and there's another jumpsuit, and it's got a triangle on the sleeve, and it says Black Projects on the side of it. And okay, fine. Now where are we going from here? It says you're not going anywhere. You're at the level you need to be. These other people are continuing on. So okay, fine. So they escort me down this hallway into this office. I walk into the office, and this guy is sitting in this chair, and his eyeballs are, you know, like he looks like he's had it. You know what I mean? I mean he's just sort of sitting there, sort of all spaced out. He's got a spaced out look on his face. This is the commander you're relieving, and I'm going, okay. I said, are you okay? And he says, I'm glad I'm leaving. And I said, well, what are you so upset about? You'll find out soon enough. Believe me, you don't want no part of this place. I didn't want no part of this place. I still don't want no part of this place. This place scares the hell out of me. I'm going, okay. nice way to be greeted, right? You know, okay, fine. So, so he salutes me. I salute him. He leaves under escort, and he leaves. I sit down, and here's this stacks of records, about this high on my desk. I'm going, oh my God, that's a lot of reading. I'm a beer for a while. So I start reading. First thing I pull off, it says 1947, Admiral Byrd, diary. So I sat down and started reading. The more I read, the more interested I got. And then continued reading it, read it in its entirety, and then I looked at my assistant and I'm going, is this for real? He says, oh yeah, it's for real. Wow, interesting. Right after I finished reading that, this guy walks into my office and he goes, you're requested on level 27. I said, 27? What level are we on now? You're on level 10. I said, huh. And what's on 27? You'll find out. Anyway, you're being called by name, requested by name, to go down to level 27. And I said, okay. Is this my superior? And they said, no. No. Okay. So I put on my jacket, follow this guy to the elevator. We go down, 27th to the 27th level, step off of the 27th level, and we're in a cavern. Walk out on the cavern, walk through this cavern, into another tunnel that had looked like it had been freshly drilled or bored out. Walk down this tunnel for about a mile, and then I said, okay, that's who called you by name, requested you by name. I'm looking at these two huge giant people standing next to this cylindrical vehicle. Okay, and I walk over there and I said, all right, why am I here? You're going on a journey. And I said, I am. They said, you are. I turned around and looked at my superior and they said, document everything you see and hear. We want a full report. I'm going, okay. All right, so I walk toward this craft. The door slides up real silently.
Like cigar-shaped craft that we talked about?
Yeah, pretty much like cigar-shaped, almost like shaped like a bullet, similar. And the door slides up very silently. I step into it. They step into it.
Before we progress, I want to ask you some questions about your journey going down to level 27. You talked about taking the elevator down, opening it up into a cavern.
Yes.
It's obviously natural light, artificial light.
Artificial light.
Is it cold?
No, it really wasn't that cold. It was like about 70 degrees.
What color was the light?
The light?
Yeah.
It was artificial light. It was more of it was kind of almost like a fluorescent type light.
Was it dim? Was it bright?
Well, they were like implanted into the rock,
Okay.
you know, and they were regular lights, but they were more of like a fluorescent glow to them.
How about the surface floor, the ground that you were walking on? Was it natural or?
It was natural.
Was it bumpy? Was it gravel? Was it?
Well, it was rocky.
Was it rocky?
Yeah. And then when we got into the other tunnel, it was smooth.
Okay, so this is where you had to walk a mile?
About a mile through this tunnel, through this cavern.
That was an artificial tunnel. That was.
No, the mile was more of the cavern. And then at the end of that mile was a tunnel that was smooth, had smooth sides, and we walked into that.
Was the lighting the same there in that part of the tunnel?
It's like the walls were lit, but you couldn't see any visible means of lighting.
Okay. And then the floor?
The floor was smooth. We walked through that into this shuttle station. It looked like a white marble or white crystal, translucent. And we walked into this. I walked into this vessel, sat down. They said, "Strap in." So I strapped in, and I said, "Where are we going?" "You're going to Talos." I said, "Okay. What is Talos?" Talos is a city beneath the mountain called Mount Shasta.
Okay, so was this a vessel you were on? When I think of the cigar-shaped craft, I'm thinking flying.
A shuttle.
But this is a shuttle. We're talking about maybe a rail system of some
It's
sort?
like a tunneling vehicle.
Okay.
Not a tunneling vehicle, but a vehicle that goes in a tunnel.
Got it.
And the sides of I mean, before I got in, I was feeling the sides of this tunnel. It felt cold to the touch, but yet it was more of like a crystal tube, if you will. And this vessel was in it, and you couldn't slide your hand between the side of the wall and the vessel. That's how close it was to this side of the wall. I said, "This is mighty close." And it had to be quite, precision very well if this thing's going to go down these tunnels at extremely rapid speed. And they said not to worry. And so I sat down, and this door closed silently. The vessel started to move, and I felt this humming sound. Heard the humming sound, and then the humming stopped, and the vessel started moving. It went. First, it was going slow, and then it picked up speed. Then it was going by. I mean, the scenery was going by so fast it looked like a blur. You couldn't hardly distinguish anything on the sides at all. It was that fast. I said, "How fast are we going?" And they said, "By your recollection, 4,000 miles per hour." I said, 4,000 miles per hour? And they said, "Yes. We have arrived at our destination." I can imagine. I can imagine.
Okay, so I want to go step back again, and we'll get to the destination in just a moment.
Yeah.
You said you were greeted by these giants.
Well, they were huge beings.
Okay, so how tall?
They were dressed in robe. They were wearing sandals. They had the color of the robes were like a turquoise, and with a red sash type around the center. One was female, one was male. And I said, "How come you're so tall?" And they said, "Because we're Lemurian." I said, "Oh, never mind." And so we went on our trip. By the time they got through explaining to me how fast we were going, we were there.
Sure.
I said, "How long did that trip take?" And they said, "Only a matter of moments." I said, "Okay, now you're telling me Mount Shasta in California, right?" And they go, "Yes." And we just left Area 51. That's several hundred miles.
2,000 miles, actually.
No, not really.
Well, from
No.
Nevada to
It's
California? Yeah.
it's about 800 miles from Pahrump, Nevada to Mount Shasta.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking something different.
Yeah. So it only took a matter of moments. They were there. I stepped out of this vehicle, and I stepped into the city. It was domed underneath this dome-shaped city. Some of the buildings were pyramidal shaped. Some of them were round. And it was quite an interesting sight to see. People going to and fro. Most of them were very tall, and they had blue skin. So not like a blue skin, but more of a a teal, turquoise blue, light turquoise blue color. And I said, okay, so we're in Talos. Yes, you're in Talos. And I met Adama. He walked up to me, gave me a hug.
Who's Adama?
Adama is the leading spokesperson for Talos. He is an ascended master. He is Telosian, or he's Lemurian too, but he's also from the city of Talos. His daughter, Bonnie, Sharula Dux, you might have heard of her.
Sharula Dux, yes.
Sharula Dux out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, where she lives now, with her husband, Shield Dux. She's the daughter of Adama. Have you had a chance to meet with her yet?
I haven't met with her. Don't know how to reach her.
Well, the best way to reach her, from what I understand, is to contact the people in Mount Shasta. Can probably get a hold of her. I'm trying to think who it was that the contact person for that.
We can talk about that later. I want to continue with your story.
Yeah, sure.
So you've been sent there. You've been called, actually summoned.
Summoned by name.
By name. We found out who has summoned you yet.
Well, I was about to find out. Well, Adama is the one that summoned me. So I said, "How is it you know my name?" And he says, "I know both of your names." I said, "Both of my names?" He says, "Yes. Your Earth name, surface Earth name, is Billy. Your true name is Zaria." I said, "Yes, but how did you know that?" "Because I know your father." I said, "Oh, okay, you know my father." My real father. And I go, "You know my real father?" And he goes, "Yes." I said, "Oh, okay. Why am I here?" They said, "You're going to get a tour of the city." I said, "Okay." So I went to their hydroponic gardens and their how they grew their food and stuff like this, and went through the city itself.
So the city, just to be clear, where is it located?
It's located 1 mile beneath the surface of Mount Shasta.
It's underneath this dormant volcano.
Yeah.
Is it hot under there?
No. Very pleasant, actually. See, the city is built in a domed covering. The covering is like a clear crystal. Okay. And I said, "Well, if this thing ever erupted, would it hurt the city?" And then he said, "No. The volcano can erupt, but it won't affect the city in any way."
Okay, thank you for that. So you're given a tour of the city.
Given a tour of the city.
Adama knows your father.
He knows my father. And as I was getting off the shuttle, Bonnie was getting on the shuttle.
Who's Bonnie?
Bonnie is the daughter of Adama, Sharula Dux.
Okay, that's...
Sharula.
Okay, so...
Princess Sharula.
Well, you mentioned having two names. So there's Princess Sharula Dux. Is Bonnie her surface name?
That's her surface name.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Bonnie Sharula Dux is her actual... She's actually Talos princess, if you want to get more technical about it. Why she decided to stay on the surface, I don't know, but she did. She's also gained some weight too. She used to be thin, now she's put on several pounds of extra weight, from what I understand. But so I took the journey. He says, Adama assigned a person with me and told me to, mentioned to them, take them to the surface. So we went up to the top of Mount Shasta. As we came up in sort of like a cylindrical tube. We stepped on it. Mm-hmm. The platform went right through this tube, right straight up to the top of the peak of the mountain. Came out, there was snow everywhere. We were in between the two top peaks, and we're standing on this platform, looking out over down the mountain into the into the town of Mount Shasta, which was very small at that time. We could see a long ways. And I said, wow, this is really something. He says, yes, it is. He says, I said, well, what was the purpose of me being shown this? For information. Your superiors are going to want an explanation as to where you went. So we're going to give them what they want to a degree. You're not to tell them anything about the workings of the city. I said, well, that's none of their business. He said, you can tell them that you went to a city, underground city, but you can't tell them where it is. I said, okay. So after another couple hours of walking through the city and experiencing some of the stuff in there, and ate some of the food there, that was pretty good. The fruits were huge in size. They handed me a strawberry, which was like that big around, huge, pretty good size, about the size of a nice honeydew melon. But it was real sweet tasting, sweeter than anything you taste on the surface. I asked him, well, I said, are you all vegetarian? They said, well, fruitarianism and also breatharianism. I said, well, what's the difference? He said, well, in fruitarianism you're eating fruit, in breatharianism you're eating nothing. That's your ultimate diet, is breatharianism. I said, oh, you mean not eating at all? He said, yeah. I said, oh, okay. Can you do that? I said, we can. So I said, okay, I said, I said, no, you know my father. Obviously my father is from here? No, your father's from the Hollow Earth. Can I go there? In time you will.
Okay, let's stop here a second. So this is a good opportunity to get this question answered, and I've asked a lot of people this question.
Yes.
What's the difference between inner Earth and Hollow Earth?
Okay. Inner Earth has to do with the subterranean cities in the Earth's crust. That's inner Earth. Hollow Earth is inside the shell, on the inside portion of the shell, where the central sun is hovering in the center. That's Hollow Earth. Inner Earth is your subterranean cities, such as Agartha, and the lesser city of Shambhala. There's a greater city located in the Hollow Earth itself, it's a greater city of Shambhala. And then in the Earth's crust you have the lesser city of Shambhala, which is a crystalline city. So that's the difference between them. A lot of people are saying, well, inner Earth is Hollow Earth. Some people believe that's the way it is. But in actuality, it's not. Hollow Earth is where the central sun shines on the inside of the Earth's shell. Inner Earth is your caverns, your different civilizations within the Earth, crust of the Earth.
I had expected as much, so thank you for clarifying that. And going hand in hand with that question, because there's so much, if you want to call it mythology or stories or what have you about what does it take to get to these underground cities, being invited in, especially in the case of Telos.
Yes.
Even you've mentioned your mind has to be right and then to be invited in.
Yes.
The question then becomes, well, what's the difference between 3D, 4D, and 5D?
3D is your three-dimensional world as you've been accustomed to. Fourth dimensional is a rise in vibration and understanding and realizing who you are. Fifth dimension is even a higher degree. However, it's also a change in physical form. That's where your body becomes translucent and your body becomes impervious to harm, literally. Your body takes on a very immortal form. And the fifth dimension is the key or the doorway to all higher dimensions.
Do we have fifth dimensional life on inner Earth, in hollow Earth now?
Yes, you do.
Is there, some have said that we're heading towards a shift, a change.
Another shift, yes.
Is this a dimensional shift?
It's a dimensional shift as well as a physical shift. Because once the human body shifts to fifth, their physical form will change. It will change for the better. And it will also change, your density. You have a lot of density on your body right now. That's why you see yourself as solid, when in actuality you're pure energy. But in essence, the energy of the fifth dimensional body is more of like a translucent body. You can see through it, but it's also solid. But it doesn't have the density that your Earth body has now. Each day you wake up, since the beginning of January 2006, ever since that time period, when the shift, the third to fourth dimension shift took place, from that point on, your density is starting to shed off your bodies. Every day you wake up, you feel lighter and more energized and more enlightened. A lot of, since January 2006, a lot of babies that are being born, they're being born very intelligent. I mean, extremely higher than their predecessors. Why? Because they are getting ready for the shift to fifth dimension.
Is that coming soon?
Yeah.
When's it coming?
Well, I'm not going to give a date. I'm not going to give a time because that wouldn't be wrong. I'll just say this very soon.
Very soon?
Very soon.
Okay. Moving on. So,
I'm saying, well, what Zora has been bringing out and what we've been talking about in conference calls is a gathering. Gathering's supposed to take place before the end of this year, sometime. Doesn't say when, exact date.
gathering of what?
Gathering of, see, your DNA has a code in it, and when that code is activated, then at that point in time, point in existence, you're going to go one of three places. You're going to either go into hollow earth, inner earth, or off-world. The purpose for this is because Earth has to re-terraform. And it will be expanding as well. And that expansion is going to entail some major seismic activity. So the way that Hollow Earth and Ashtar Command and the others are preparing, way it's set up, is the people must be taken from the face of the planet out of harm. Because this world is going to rebirth itself. It's going to reclaim the surface. All the cities and man-made, the world as you know it to be is going to cease to exist, and a new one's coming up from it. So there can't be anyone on the surface during that time.
So they're going to inner Earth, hollow Earth, or
Off-world.
Off-world.
Turning to the prospective star systems, to where you feel you're from.
This year?
By the end of this year.
So you're having a nice view of downtown Mount Shasta for what it was in 1964-ish.
Yeah.
Okay, what happens next?
So then you have, no, that's not 1964, that'd be in the 70s.
Oh, was it? So
Early 70s.
you were like 16 years old, you got your commission.
Yeah.
You know, a month later you became a colonel.
Yeah.
And how much time, they gave you $5,000 to go play in Vegas.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
How much time has elapsed? We're talking from age 16 maybe? to-
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So that would put it into late 60s,
Okay.
early 70s, somewhere like that.
Okay.
Is that about right?
You said you were put on the surface in 51.
51, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Had 12.
At 12.
63.
53, 12.
62.
Okay.
Right?
12, yeah. You're about right. Yeah, yeah.
67, I guess. You're in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
758. Okay. So anyway, let's continue on there.
So there's things you can say, there's things you can't say. They're only showing you things. You get the big old
Right.
strawberry, the breatharian, the
Right.
fruitarian.
Right.
You're learning about Telos, the underground.
Learn about Telos.
Wanted to clarify the difference.
Yeah.
Light. Where's the light come from? You're under a mountain.
The light, yeah, well, the light is artificial as well. But it's not actually artificial light. It actually emanates from the bodies of people.
What if there aren't any people around?
Huh?
What if there aren't any people around?
Aren't any people around?
Yeah, yeah. If you're in a place, there's no. Hey, I need a light. Are you the light? You know.
Well, see, their bodies are translucent.
Okay.
Their bodies they give off a light.
So
Their actual cells give off the light.
Are they 5D then? All of these people 5D?
Yes, they are.
Is light body an accurate terminology for their bodies being 5D?
I would say translucent.
Translucent?
Light bodies would be considered beings from the sun.
Okay.
Would be termed as shining ones.
I'm being facetious and asking the questions about where the light's coming from.
Okay.
Actually. Okay. But are there any other sources of light? It can't all just be coming from the bodies of the people.
True. They do have areas like going through tunnels and stuff like this that are lit up the same way that, coming out of the walls themselves. There's no physical or visual means to see where this light's coming from, except it's coming from the walls.
It's just there.
It's just there.
Okay.
You can't see a light bulb. You can't see a source of light, but the whole entire tunnel lights up, which is I don't know. Maybe we didn't even try to explain it.
The only thing I've read Sharula Dux's interview, which was like, I don't know, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was, she gave that.
Yeah.
And she had described in there a bit about bioluminescence or kind of luminescent rock. And,
that too.
Things like this.
Yeah. And there is a light source that is emanating from the rocks. I'm thinking maybe there's maybe some tubes behind the rocks or something that emanate.
We spent a lot of time on light. I was just very curious because being an electrician, I asked these questions. Where are the fixtures? Where's the wires?
There is no fixture.
Where's the conduit?
There's no wires.
It's coming from the people.
Coming from the people.
I get that.
It's just like the people in the Hollow Earth are the same way. The light is emanating from their being. and it gives them all the light they need.
Okay. So you had the giant strawberry.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was able to rest, and I was wonderful to rest and sleep in the gardens because, you know, they're so peaceful. There again, we saw different types of animals, very large. Some.
Any T-Rexes roaming about?
No, not in Talos, no. We did see some extremely large, what would term is a mole. You know what a mole is?
Sure.
A very large mole, about 12 and a half feet long.
Wow, that's a big mole.
That's a big mole. And
Do they have lawns in Telos?
lawns? Yeah, of course.
You know, grass and.
Of course they do.
Don't the moles kind of mess up the lawn? Or
No. This particular type of mole was making tunnels, yes, but in the earth itself. And I mean, when it burrowed a hole, when you walk into that where it had burrowed, you'd walk into a tunnel. This is how big this tunnel was. You know, you walk into this tunnel and there's this creature digging into the. Anyway, but
sounds messy. It could be, you know, lots of dirt. How many of these moles they have down there?
oh, I only saw one myself.
Well, it's probably a good thing. Maybe one is all they need. Okay.
I think I better shut up and let my father come in now.
Where are from first? What's your origin? Okay, so we can speed it up a bit.
Yeah.
If you want. So you're there. You had to go back. You know.
Yeah, I had to go back. When I went back, got back in the shuttle. Pardon me. Got back in the shuttle. A few moments later, we're back at the area 27. 27th level shuttle station. I step off, and of course I'm debriefed right away.
Sure.
I said, "What did you see?" I said, "Well, I can only tell you that I went to a city, underground city. I don't know where it was. Of course, I lied to them. I wasn't going to tell them where it was because I was asked not to. I just said it was underneath a mountain. You know, that's all I could tell them. I didn't say where. They said, "Well, what did you see?" And I said, "Well, I told them somewhat about the city, but not all that much." "How was it powered? Was it powered with nuclear power?" No, they didn't use nuclear power at all. They had a lighting system that was surpasses anything we have. And they said, "Well, what about air?" I said, "Well, they had shafts that went to the surface. And they also had artificial air, oxygen." I told them what I felt they would pass, so to speak. Like I said, I was requested not to say certain things, which I didn't. I kept I respected their privacy. And then, of course, the next day they said, "Okay, you're being requested by name again. What is your connection with these people?" And I'm going, that's what they're asking me, you know. I said, "Well, maybe I just find favor in their eyes or something. Maybe I don't know." And one of the officers says, "You're too damn honest. That's what your problem is." I said, "Well, maybe that's why they trust me." You know. So, well, whatever. And so, went down to this shuttle station, area, level 27 again. Got on it. This time it was going in a different direction. Instead of going to the right, we were going to the left. Same two people were in it. They said, "Welcome, are you ready for your journey to Hollow Earth?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "Okay. Would you like to sit up here and watch instead of sitting in the back? I said, yeah, sure. So they put me in the seat between them, and off we went. And how this thing went through these tunnels so quick. I mean, it went straight, and all of a sudden it went like this. I mean, it's like L-turn, you know. I'm going, whoa, wait a minute, that was a little too fast, you know. And then I felt felt like we were going down. The motion was very negligible, very slight, but yet I felt we were going down, and we were.
You pop when you're going down? Feel any pressure?
No, you're popping. Artificial gravity within the craft. And we went down. We got to the 400-mile marker and they stopped. Completely stopped. And I said, why we stopped? Well, we're equalizing pressure. And I said, why? They said, because you're at the center of gravity. I said, what? At the center of gravity? 400 miles into the Earth's crust is the center of gravity. I said, oh, okay. And they started up again. A few moments later, we surface at the shuttle station. I step out, I look up, and here's the sun that don't move. And I said, this looks familiar. And they said it should. And I said, oh, okay. So I'm sitting there and we're looking around. And I said, well, what am I to do now? Whatever you want to do. Just have yourself a blast. So I started visiting some places. I went to Pathologos Library. And a few other places. And they said, okay, you're going to meet with the Council of Hollow Earth. I said, okay. The same council that I'm a bird made contact with, had audience with. The Arianian Council.
Say that again,
The Arianian Council. There's one person on the council. He was considered the master of the world, and very. He looked young, but yet I knew he was ancient. And so I met with him, talked with him. He asked me about Area 51 and what progression they have gotten to.
Progression in what?
Science, technology. I said, well, they're still tampering with nuclear power. And he says they shouldn't be doing that. I said, well, yeah, I agree with you there. They shouldn't be doing that. But they're doing it. It's something that they're doing. They're not about to relinquish that kind of power. At least not yet. And they said, yes, we know. I said, okay. You want to know, what else you want to know? I said, well, whatever you want to tell us. And I told them everything, all about my duty station, what I do, what I've been doing. And they said, okay. How do you like it here? I said, I like it a lot. Do I have to go back? They said, yes, you do. You have a mission. I said, that's me. The second time I heard that term, mission. What do you mean I have a mission? And they said, well, it's not in your recollection, but you volunteered for it. You and your sister. And I said, how can I remember that? Why can't I remember that? It's not time for you to remember that yet. The world is not ready yet for your message. Okay. So, went back, Area 51. What did you see? We know you went to the center of the planet. We know that much. What did you see? I said, a whole new world. A world of harmony, a world of peace. No chaos at all. The people there, they don't speak, they don't use their mouths to get them in trouble. They use mind-to-mind communications. So they put me in a room and started doing a bunch of tests on me again. That's normal for military. And they checked me out, and they said, well, what can you tell us about their sociology? They said, I said, their sociology is they're all one body. All one. There's no separation between them. And they're always smiling. They love to smile. And they said, well, what is their military capability? I said, far more than yours. I said, let's put it this way. If they desired, they could bring a standstill to the entire surface of planet Earth. How's that for power? They want you to stop using nuclear power. It has too many bad side effects. And they want you to stop it. Well, you know that's not going to happen. I said, yeah, I know that's not going to happen, but they request that you stop. Well, when are we going to be able to gain entrance there? I says, whenever you're invited. Well, what makes you so privileged? Because I respect their privacy. Well, you have to tell us everything you saw. I said, no, I don't. I was requested not to say certain things, and that's going to be as it is. You're allowed to know certain things, but you're allowed to not know certain things. Well, we order you to tell. You can order me all you want. I'm only allowed to say certain things. Just like under your command, I'm also only allowed to say certain things. So respect their privacy. Just as they're respecting yours. Oh, well, they reluctantly agreed.
No threats?
No threats. Wouldn't have done them any good.
Let's talk about, so you were summoned and you went to Hollow Earth. Did you get to see your father?
Not that trip, no.
Okay.
He was elsewhere, doing what he does, which is monitoring the North Polar opening.
Can you tell us how you came to be on the surface?
You want me to back up?
Are we done? I got the answer. I don't think I've got the answer to the mission yet, actually. What is the mission?
The mission is to give the contents of Admiral Byrd's message to the surface world. It's a threefold message. The first part of the message is the existence of Hollow Earth, part of it. The second part is medical, having to do with cures of all the diseases that were on the planet at that time. And then there's also the third part was telling them not to use nuclear power. They need to stop and desist from using it. That was the first part. Second part was medical, and the third part was the existence of Hollow Earth and its people. And that they are the sisters and brothers, your sisters and brothers, in Hollow Earth. That message could have been given out back in 1947, when it was, suggested for it to be given out. We wouldn't have been going through what we've been going through. The world would be a lot different place had that been able to been gotten out. But that was the mission that we volunteered for.
You and your sister?
Me and my sister. We were sitting on a beach in Hollow Earth with our feet in the water, and we were approached by the council and asked if we would volunteer to go to the surface to give out this message.
How many trips around the sun had you been by the time you were approached?
How many trips? Well, I'm 60 trips around the sun now on the surface. It would have been 1,800.
And for 1,800 trips around the sun, what was your size?
My size?
How tall were you?
My stature was 15 feet.
15 feet.
Yeah.
And yet you were deposited on the surface. What was your stature at that point?
About that tall.
And surface age? Equivalent age, like 18, whatever, 100 cycles or whatever, trips around the sun.
Right.
Now you go from 15 feet to toddler height.
Toddler height.
Right. And you had to have been adopted, as you say.
Adopted.
Okay, you were adopted.
Me and my twin sister together.
At 15 feet in Hollow Earth, were you 5D?
Of course.
And you get deposited on the surface, you're no longer 5D?
Nope. My mind is, but my body's not.
What is the process of being deposited on the surface?
Well, how it transpired after we went through our shrinking back down to the size we were going to be, we were brought up by airship, deposited in the city park in Wichita Falls, Texas. We were wrapped in a blanket, put in a dumpster on top of the garbage, and to be found by the city park maintenance people and a police woman. Once we were placed in the receptacle and they left, then of course our survival mode took over and we started screaming our heads off. And we were heard by the city park maintenance worker and also a police woman that saw us, they opened up the dumpster and saw us, took us out of it, and turned us over to Child Protective Services in Wichita Falls, Texas. When the policewoman picked us up, picked both of us up, her body started tingling, and she put us down because she didn't want to drop us. And what had transpired when she picked us up was that she had a issue with her body. I think she had breast cancer or something like that. And when she picked us up, she was instantly healed from just picking us up. And then, of course, we were, how we discovered this, she came back the following day to the Child Protective Services and sat next to us, and she started talking to us. We weren't saying anything, we were just listening. But she told us what had happened after she had picked us up. She says, "I feel you two are very special. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but I feel I should tell you this." And she told us what happened. That she had went to after she picked us up and brought us to the Child Protective Services, she went to see her doctor, who had diagnosed her before with cancer. And she explained to us that when she had him check herself out again, she no longer had it. Her body was completely clean of cancer, which the doctors just didn't register. She said, "I wish that I could adopt you, but I'm not married. And I feel you're going to be adopted by a loving family." Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But and me and my sister looked at her and just nodded. That we acknowledged that we understood what she was saying. And we, in unison, we both gave her an impression in her mind that it's all right. We gave you a gift. She said, "I understand you, but you're not talking." And we said, "We know." And then she got permission to take us and turn us over to the orphanage. And she was assigned to take us there. After she took us there, and she said, "These children are very special. They need to be put in quarantine, away from the other children," which was a standard procedure anyway. So they put us away, me and my sister, into a room in the attic. All that was in there was a radio and a square box with a tube about this big around, black and white TV set. And we were in quarantine for like 3 or 4 weeks. And all that time we were there, we were learning, listening to the radio and watching this Jack Benny on the radio, on the TV. And so we learned how to talk. We learned how to communicate in English. Before that, we spoke in Lemurian to each other, with our minds, not verbally. We didn't feel any need to do that because we could communicate telepathically, so we didn't feel the urge or the need to use our mouths. That was an experience when we started doing that, though. But it was kind of hard to start talking. We saw how easy it was for other people, but when we started to talk ourselves, it seemed foreign. Something that was not normally, well, in the Hollow Earth is not done, hardly. But it was hard to form words. We had to learn how. And we did that in the privacy of that room that we were in. And then shortly after that, we were in the common room, they call it, and radio broadcasts come across the airways talking about a missing child in Yellowstone Park. And me and my sister were sitting there. We closed our eyes and we visualized where this child was. We wrote it down on a pad and pencil. They gave us a pad and paper because they thought we were deaf and dumb, couldn't talk. because we weren't talking. We wrote down the location of the child and we gave it to one of the staff members. They immediately called Yellowstone Park and told them where this child could be found. They said, "How do you know this? We have a couple children here that have extraordinary senses." And they told us where this child was. So they checked it out, and they found the child. It was a Native American ranger that got in the helicopter and took off to the location where this child was. 5 miles from the search area. They were trying to figure out how this child got 5 miles from this out of the search area. And the Native American ranger walked into the cave, Bear Rock Cave. As he walked into the cave, he saw a female Sasquatch nursing the child. He walked in, the Sasquatch saw the Native American ranger, picked the child up, carried it over to him and put it in his arms, turned around, walked back, sat next to the fire. He brought the child back to the search area, and it made headlines for that.
Interesting. I didn't expect Sasquatch to come out of this story. I really didn't.
Sasquatch is real.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it's actually called a Chatus. It's not called a Sasquatch.
Chatus.
Prefers the term of Chatus. The Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Chatus is the original, the real people that were on the earth before the advent of man, or the white race. Native Americans were around, the dark-skinned people were around, but the white race were planted on the surface.